Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will show you how worm compost should be used and the difference between seedlings with and without worm compost. I received many questions on my channel about the use of worm compost. Upon this, I started researching and I decided to use both the solid and liquid forms of this EcoSol farm product you see here. First, let's examine together where I use this solid worm compost and its effects. In my previous videos, I had planted cucumber seedlings using the upside down seedling planting method. Since I can't mix it directly into the soil, I add it to the area where I water. The amount we need to use is about a handful per seedling. And then I water it so that the fertilizer flows down through the holes. The fertilizer. This was the condition of my seedling at the moment I applied it. And this is its condition 10 days later. Those who complain that their cucumbers are not developing can try this. I have seen its benefits. Now, let's move on to the tomatoes. 2 in the seedlings of the same size. While there are flowers on 2 branches on the left one, there is only 1 branch with flowers on the right one. Here, I will only apply it to the pot on the right. I mentioned that a handful should be placed for each seedling, but since the tomato seedling here is a bit larger, I will increase this amount slightly. Actually, to prevent the microorganisms in the fertilizer from being harmed, the fertilizer should be covered with soil. However, since my pot here does not get sunlight, I don't find it necessary. After regular watering, you can see that the plant on the right has started to bear fruit and is beginning to grow larger in 2 weeks. The one on the left has produced 2 fruits, and their sizes are like this. I did not apply any additional fertilization to these 2 pots. Here I also have my sword plant. I will apply worm fertilizer to it as well. Since its root area is wide, I apply a bit more. The aim here is to apply the worm fertilizer in such a way that it comes into contact with the roots. I would also like to mention that if the worm fertilizer you use is certified and organic, your plant will not be harmed by overuse. It will not suffer any damage. With minimal use, its effect diminishes. Therefore, either produce the product yourself or obtain it from a certified producer. After covering the fertilizer with soil, it is sufficient to water it. In a moment, I will demonstrate the application of liquid worm fertilizer to the leaves of my snake plant. As you can see here, if you have seedlings that you have previously planted, how do we use worm fertilizer? We sprinkle it on top of the soil in a layer 1 to 2 centimeters thick. As I mentioned before, we cover it, again, with soil to prevent the microorganisms in the worm fertilizer from being harmed by the sun. And then just water it. I also add these wooden skewers to keep the birds away, which I recommend. It is quite beneficial. Since we cannot apply it to the roots of the seedlings you have previously planted, you can apply the worm compost in this way. And the condition of our peppers, 1 week later, they have both grown and their leaf colors are quite healthy. If you are going to plant seedlings, let's measure the difference. Between these 2 seedlings, their current height is the same, and I will plant them in separate pots. One will have worm compost, the other just soil. I am not using worm compost in the seedling I have just planted, and I will label the pot as plain. I am applying about a handful to the roots of the other one. After covering it with soil, I will label this one as worm. Thanks to these notes I have written, we will be able to clearly track the development between the two seedlings. And after watering both, I will place them in the sun. The process is that simple. And after 2 weeks, the difference between the two seedlings is quite clear. This is the seedling, where we did not use worm compost. And this is the seedling, where we used worm compost. By the way, I also sprayed liquid worm compost on the one on the right, on its leaves. And look, it even sprouted a shoot from the side. And the color of the leaves is darker compared to the other seedling. These, now the two seedlings, when they bloom and start producing peppers, I will also share them on my Instagram page. If you're planning to plant saplings in your garden, or have already planted and want to apply something, these saplings are located in my garden in Yalova: lemon, tangerine, and apple saplings. Unfortunately, because I haven't been able to go to Yalova for 3 months, my saplings are in this condition. Now, we will try to restore these saplings. First, we need to dig a hole about 5-10 centimeters deep to reach the roots. We will apply solid worm compost to these holes. Here, we will add the worm compost according to the size of the saplings. When you visit the EcoSol Farm website, there is a chart showing which product to add and in what proportions. You can take a look. I will also add the link to this site in my comments. You can access it more easily from there. After gently spreading the worm compost close to the roots, we carefully cover it with soil and water it to prevent damage from the sun. I also applied liquid worm compost to the leaves of these saplings. When applying liquid worm compost, try not to let it come into contact with any flowers if there are any. You might experience issues with pollination. Now let's move on to the liquid worm compost. This liquid worm compost, produced in liquid form, possesses all the characteristics of solid compost. It can be used as both a leaf and soil fertilizer. I specifically got this to spray on the leaves. It shows on the label which product to use it on and in what proportions. It's necessary to supplement plants with nutrients not only from the roots, but also from the leaves. Now, let's see how we apply the liquid fertilizer. 2 tablespoons are sufficient for a 1-liter bottle. Here, I will apply it to the leaves after adding 3 tablespoons to a 1.5-liter bottle. While applying, try not to touch the flowers, so that you don't encounter issues with pollination. Spray it on the leaves and the stem. You need to perform this process every 21 days. It will provide many of the nutrients your plants need. On large lands and for which product, in what quantity it should be used, is explained in detail in a list on the EcoSol Farm website. I recommend reading that list for the application rates on citrus fruits, sunflowers, wheat, and tomatoes. Like, in the case of this flower, this liquid is a bit dense. Therefore, be sure to place a piece of paper behind the area you will spray. In other words, don't ruin your walls. Here as well. I am pouring it into the strawberries pot saucer. I pour a small amount, and then add water on top. Normally, I always water my strawberry from the bottom, not from the top, and I've seen quite a lot of benefits from it. For the seedlings, to which we have applied solid fertilizer to the roots, as I mentioned earlier, be sure to spray the leaves every 21 days. Here, as I sprayed on the pepper, here I am spraying on the leaves of my tomato. You can apply this regularly in this way. Look, there is already a tomato in the top left corner. Soon, you will see how much that tomato has grown. Look, even its baby is next to it. It's quite a large tomato. You can see the benefits even when you apply liquid fertilizer to the leaves. Here I have watermelon seedlings. Some have sprouted, some have not yet. I sprayed liquid worm fertilizer on them as well. And as you can see, they are quite lively. You can use worm fertilizer both in liquid and solid form during germination. By the way, I bought a kit with seeds and specially mixed plant nourishing soil. It contains everything needed for growing vegetables and flowers. Think of it as a small greenhouse. You can use all the other components repeatedly except for the soil and seeds. I will publish a video on my channel showing how to use this set and the results. If you like this video, please click like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and activate the bell, Ankuchan, to watch my next videos.